from Capitol Hill. So just what will work, Congressman?
Well, it won't work to be able to say, let's get the economy jump-started, or in his words, to give a jolt to the economy by cutting taxes for a year and then raising taxes for the rest of eternity after that. That doesn't seem like a very good swap for to be able to increase jobs. It's as if people that start businesses and run business only focus on the next 12 months.
Okay, but
so
what would work? What would be a plan that would be effective in this case? I mean, do we agree, or maybe we don't, do we agree that we have to do something with unemployment over 9%, or is it best to just stay out of the way?
I absolutely agree something needs to be done. I am glad the president's taking on this and trying to get it into center focus again. There are lots of low-cost and no-cost options that are out there. We tried a giant stimulus plan 2 years ago the president pushed through and the previous Congress sent through. We've been focusing on, and I've been focusing on a lot on what are the things that are slowing down the economy. There's two perspectives. One says Washington creates jobs, and the other one says the reason jobs aren't created is because of Washington. So what banking regulations have been laid down on, especially our community banks, that were not the cause of the financial collapse, that have slowed down their lending. What is happening in the energy sector is we've got more and more regulations happening in energy. Energy should be taking off right now, and it is doing well, but not near as well as it should be doing based on what's going on, all the moratoriums and all the push from the EPA. I'm looking at things like the free trade agreements. We're still waiting for the free trade agreements to be able to come over. The repatriation of funds. We've got all these multinational companies that have over $1 trillion parked overseas because we want to tax it 35% coming back. That's ridiculous. They're going to always reinvest overseas. We want them to reinvest where their headquarters is located, the United States of America. The way we can do that is not be punitive to them bring those dollars back. Those are things that we can do that don't cost us a dime, but then dramatically increase our economic activity and the velocity of money moving around. Until we can do some of those things, I'm not interested at all in going to raise taxes to try to solve some other problem.
Would you peel off any of the president's plan, though, and try to pass some measures of it? If so, which ones?
Well, the president did mention the free trade agreement. He's talked about before. He talked about again. Glad to be able to hear him bring that up again. We're waiting for that to come over from the administration, and so we can get busy on the debate on that. I would be very supportive of that. So you look at some of those things. He did mention things about Medicare and reforming some of those systems. I think that is part of the issue, the whole health care debate, because there's so much uncertainty. No one knows what the cost of an employee is about to be because of the Affordable Care Act and those things. If we can start getting some reforms in that, that's going to help. Personally, I'd like to repeal the whole Affordable Care Act itself in its entirety and to be able to restart and do some things to provide some more stability to it. But we've got to do some things.
How do you actually see things playing out over the next however many weeks or months, and what is the timetable? Will it just be small? In other words, will there be one big jobs plan, or is it just going to be a number of small bills, maybe some of the things you mentioned, some that the president mentioned, and does that kind of push the time frame out in terms of how Congress works to get it done?
No, I think it's both. I think there'll be some bigger plans. There'll also be some smaller pieces. Let me give you, for instance, over a month ago, we did a piece for the XL pipeline, the Keystone XL pipeline from Canada to the Gulf of Mexico. The administration's been holding up. There are thousands and thousands of jobs attached to that. We sent over from the House a message to the president say, please release this, get this permitting done. There are a lot of jobs that are on that. So some of those smaller things will come out. I do think eventually there'll be a bigger package on that, but I anticipate that package is not going to focus on let's try to raise taxes to offset some new stimulus spending. It's going to be low-cost, no-cost options. At least that's what I'm going to be pushing for and saying, what are we doing that's slowing down the economy? Let's fix those things first before we have those problems out there and then try to do something else. So it's going to be both. I think there'll be a lot of smaller ones, like later this week, the NLRB. We're trying to focus in on the Boeing decision to say the NLRB has no business telling any company where they can base operations. Any of the 50 states they want to do it. But we shouldn't, as a federal government, stop that.
Congressman Lankford, thank you very much for coming on again. We appreciate it. All right, we're going to go to the global markets now and get a check of how the